Last week, we talked about the cost of war. But this week, the situation raises sharper questions. Across the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea, forces are still deployed and diplomacy is still active. But nothing is fully resolved. So the real questions are these. What is actually happening on the battlefield right now? Are the United States and Iran moving towards de-escalation or just repositioning for the next phase? What does the current operational posture across maritime and air domains actually look like today? And while diplomatic communication continues through Pakistan and Oman, how close is the Strait of Hormuz to becoming the trigger point again? Most importantly, if something happens this week or next, who is actually ready? Because the headlines say stability, but the reality on ground still raises more questions than answers. Hello and welcome to Radar Mode on Pakistan Connect, and my name is Qasim. This week we are looking at the current state of the system as it exists in real time. Because the situation is not frozen. The US continues forward naval deployment across the Persian Gulf and the wider Indian Ocean. Iran continues asymmetric maritime readiness along its southern coastline. And diplomatic communication, primarily through Pakistan and Oman, remains active but indirect. So what are we dealing with is not war in escalation mode and not peace in consolidation mode. It is the managed confrontation with parallel diplomacy running alongside military readiness. And to understand where this is heading, we need to break down the tactical reality first. Across the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea, the operational picture remains active and distributed. US naval formations continue layered maritime coverage with carrier strike groups supported by destroyers and surveillance platforms. Maritime patrol aircraft such as the P-8 Poseidon continue persistent reconnaissance and maritime domain awareness. On the Iranian side, the IRGC Navy maintains asymmetric coastal readiness, fast attack aircraft, missile coverage, and distributed surveillance along key checkpoints. There has been no observable drawdown in force posture from either side. At sea, commercial shipping through the region remains under elevated risk assessment, with routing adjustments and fluctuating traffic density. This creates a persistent condition of high surveillance, high sensitivity, and low operational margin for error. Every movement is tracked, every signal is interpreted, every encounter carries escalation potential. And nowhere is this posture more concentrated than the Strait of Hormuz. But this week, the Strait is not just a tactical choke point. It has become a legal and sovereignty dispute unfolding in real time alongside the military activity. Iran has intensified its position that it retains sovereign authority over its territorial waters and maritime security enforcement in and around its side of the strait. Tehran has increasingly framed any regulation of movement or security enforcement as part of its sovereign right to control access conditions under perceived threat environments. At the same time, Oman, controlling the opposite coastline of the strait, continues to function as a stabilizing maritime state, supporting international navigation frameworks and maintaining open passage logic along its waters. This creates a structural reality. Iran is asserting sovereignty-based control logic. Oman is enforcing navigation continuity and neutrality. And the wider international system led by the US is insisting on transit passage rights for global shipping. Legally, the Strait of Hormuz is divided between the exclusive economic zones of Oman and Iran. According to UN regulations, the exclusive economic zones stretch to about 12 nautical miles or around 20 kilometers before international waters hit. The strait at its widest point is about 22 kilometers. So you can see that this strait passage is divided in control between Iran and Oman. Operationally, it is shaped by force presence, proximity, and risk perception. And this week, that gap between law and operational reality has become more visible. Because even without closure, shipping behavior has already adjusted to a conditional access environment, where movement depends less on treaties and more on perceived escalation risk. When you connect all this together, the answers begin to emerge. The situation is not moving towards a full-scale war right now, but it is also not moving forward towards disengagement. Instead, what exists is a sustained operational standoff, layered with active sovereignty contestation and fragile diplomatic engagement. The US is maintaining deterrence without expansion. Iran is maintaining pressure without escalation. Oman is stabilizing maritime passage under neutrality constraints, and diplomacy continues, but has not yet translated into any operational changes. The Strait of Hormuz remains the critical pressure point, not just because of geography, but because sovereignty, law, and military posture are now overlapping in the same space. So what happens next depends on timing and friction. If diplomacy gradually aligns with operational reality, controlled de-escalation becomes in the possible domain. But if a single maritime or aerial incident occurs in this very fragile environment, then escalation will not follow negotiation logic. It will follow instant reaction. So the answer to the question we started with is this. Nothing is settled, nothing is collapsing, but nothing is stable either. This is a live system still in motion, where legal claims, military posturing, and diplomacy are all operating simultaneously. And what happens next will depend on which force reaches the breaking point first: law, diplomacy, or the battlefield. If you found this analysis useful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share Pakistan Connect. Let me know in the comments, do you think this system holds, or does it fracture under pressure? Stay alert, stay vigilant, and keep your radar mode on. And I'll see all of you next week.